Why is the Center for Zionist Studies critically important in an Israeli college? After all, one would assume that in Israel people are talking about Zionism all the time. And the reality, of course, is that's not really true.
Shalem College, we work with many donors, but there are very, very few who we find absolutely inspiring. Our relationship with the Asper Foundation really began over our program in English immersion to turn our native Hebrew-speaking students into more effective ambassadors for the Jewish state around the world. After a number of years of success, we decided together to launch a bolder initiative, the Israel Story Project, in which over the course of their 4 years at the college, our students would study cover to cover and in depth some of the most important works that shaped the Jewish state and the Israeli experience over the last century.
Zionism was a very active conversation and ideological debate for many decades prior to the establishment of the state, to a certain extent shortly after Israel was founded. But once Israel was founded, the leaders of the country and its citizens moved on to actually building a real country and speaking much less about what it was they were trying to create here. Now that Israelis feel confident and secure, now that Israel is really a first world country in every way, restoring that old conversation about Zionist ideology, renewing that discussion about what it is that Israelis should see themselves as building has become more critical than ever before.
I think that here in Israel we feel Zionism. I mean, I say about myself, I define myself as Zionist, but still the knowledge is missing. We studied about literature and about history, and it was an amazing combination to study about the Zionism and what happened in Israel when I was exposed to all the material and all the books and all the great men that really talked and described Zionism in a SAF course. So I really felt and I really understand some of the things, and some of the things that were very basic for me, I understood more deeply.
We began, of course, with Herzl's Alt Neuland, the Old New Land, and proceeded from there to discuss a number of really critical works. Each time we would bring in either the author of that particular novel or a public intellectual able to speak about it from a fascinating viewpoint. All of our students received copies of the book. They came to discussion groups here on campus and spoke about the work, what it meant to them, what it says to young people in the 21st century. And then they would go to the climax of the event, which was not only a lecture with a prominent novelist or public figure, but a real discussion, a searching kind of discussion with tough questions and often brilliant and inspiring answers.
The author, Aleph Bet Yoshua, came to talk with us. He said some words that really touched me and made me understand the ideas or the thoughts that I carry around with me from which I was a young child in Israel.
It's one of these cases where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, both because of the partnership between the Asper Foundation with all that it brings and Shalem College, a Zionist liberal arts college, the first of its kind in Israel, but also because we can see the elements of this program as coming together. There's the Hebrew-speaking piece aimed at our students, that's the Asaf Inbari in the Asper chair. There is the Hebrew-speaking part aimed at a broader audience, because within the Israel Story Project, we are recording the videos and making them available for Hebrew-speaking audiences throughout Israel and around the world. And there's the English-speaking component led by Daniel Gordis and these videos that he's doing. And when you take all of that together, there's not only a message, but it's a message that reaches audiences that are of enormous significance, not only to the Asper Foundation and Shalem College, but I think to the Jewish people and the Jewish state.
The few hundred students who attend Shalem College in Jerusalem are among the best and brightest of Israel's young college students, and they are among those young people who will lead this country into the future, well into the 21st century. And we at Shalem consider it critically important for them to be grounded in the Zionist conversation that already was, and to perpetuate and deepen and widen that conversation for the future. The creation of the Asper Center for Zionist Studies is the critical step that is going to enable us to do precisely that. And because of the impact that it is going to have on our students, and then through them on Israeli society writ large, we could not be more grateful. On behalf of our students, our faculty, and the entire Shalem community, I want to thank the Asper Foundation for its extraordinarily generous and innovative and visionary gift to establish the Asper Center for Zionist Studies at Shalem College.